if you are lazy but also somehow weirdly ambitious, as in you've got big goals but you just lack consistency, I need you to hear this. Firstly, you are probably not lazy per se, and the more you keep telling yourself that you are, the more you are sabotaging this ambition that you're really trying to protect. It's probably more of a habit, self-trust, clarity, or energy issue more than it is a character flaw or a bad character trait issue. So if that's you, if that feels a little bit like you, let's get into this video. Let's talk about some things, some practical things that actually could work. Firstly, make it easy. One of the biggest mistakes us ambitious people make, and that was not meant to rhyme, is we always try to start with the ideal version as opposed to the entry version. Okay, let me take it back. We have this ideal version. Let's take the gym, for example. In our minds, we want to hit the gym 5 times a week and in 2 months have the most snatched body that anyone has ever seen and be consistent forever. So when we think about hitting the gym and starting this new routine, we'll sit down and write that from tomorrow, because today's Sunday and tomorrow is a new week, right? Where we literally restart everything in life. Tomorrow, we are going to start the gym for the first time, and we're gonna go 5 times a week. And there is the first problem, because how can we go from never going to the gym or sometimes going to the gym or even not being comfortable enough to even doing a stretch in the gym, let alone hitting the treadmill or some weights? How can we have the confidence to say from tomorrow we'll go from 0 to literally 100? The failure here is that we are designing systems that just require way too much discipline, a level that we have not ever needed to utilize before, right at the start. So instead of asking ourselves what's the best routine or going on Pinterest for inspiration where everything there is perfect, we have to take a step back and think, no, it's not about what is the best routine I should go for, but what is the most realistic thing I can do tomorrow. The main question here is, what is the easiest version of this routine that I can do tomorrow, that I can't say no to? Maybe it's 20 minutes on the treadmill just to get some confidence in the gym. Because when we start with the ideal version as opposed to the easy and entry version, we are just setting ourselves up for failure. If you already can't be bothered to do it in general, then what makes you think you're gonna want to be bothered to do the crazy ideal version of this plan? Progress basically doesn't start with intensities. I mean, sometimes it does, but then oftentimes you go from 100 straight back down to 0. But really and truly, it starts with accessibility. Make it easy, make it accessible, make it really hard to say no to. Secondly, use the 2-minute rule. So there's this idea in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, right? And it talks about this 2-minute rule. The idea is very simple. Essentially, make the task so easy to do that it kind of feels silly to not do it anyway. Because once you start, it becomes a lot more easier. So where you might have a huge task to do, which is making you feel like you just don't want to do it because it's just way too intimidating, you can A, make it easy, as we've said, but then B, you can shorten the time that you dedicate to doing that particular thing. So this is where the 2-minute rule comes in. Just say to yourself, I'm going to do this thing for 2 minutes, 120 seconds. You can time it. And what you'll find is that it actually propels you into action, firstly. Secondly, it helps you gain some confidence in yourself because you've realized, oh, I actually can do that thing and I have done that thing. Thirdly, it also builds your self-trust because you said you're going to do something and then you did it. And I think finally, one of the things I really like about the 2-minute rule is that it's kind of a hack. It's kind of tricking yourself into doing it for more than 2 minutes. Because once you get into the swing of things, once you've set your timer for 2 minutes and you start doing this particular thing, it's more than likely that you're going to continue going on once you've gotten into the rhythm of doing it. So I feel like it's kind of a hack, like a trick. You're kind of tricking yourself into doing this particular thing for way longer than 2 minutes anyway. For example, if you think about pushing a really large ball, the hardest part is the first push. But after you continue going, it gets easier, and plus you can let the momentum that you've built kind of do the work anyway, which is exactly the case of the 2-minute rule. The hardest part is just the start, but once you've got into the swing of things, it's much easier. And you'll just find that the time just keeps rolling without you having to even look at the time anymore. So tell yourself this: I'll do it just for 2 minutes. I won't do it perfectly, I won't do it forever, but just for 2 minutes. We'll think about making it perfect, and we'll think about making it permanent and forever later. But for now, the objective is just 2 minutes. And speaking of momentum, this takes me really well into my next point: build momentum. If you're feeling stuck, building momentum will be so helpful. Keep score, basically, of how you're getting on. You can have like a whiteboard, for example, which I'm in the process of putting up now on one of my walls. But essentially, you can have a whiteboard and you can just write a tally chart each day that you do successfully go to the gym, or each day that you do successfully, I don't know, brush your teeth. Something. For me, it would be a streak of how many weeks I've been uploading on YouTube consistently without stopping. I think this video will be like week 7 or week 8 or something like that. I'm still in the early stages, but essentially creating this winning streak will really help you build momentum. And I think it's also helpful to gamify the process a bit. You can kind of turn it into a game. So as you're creating this tally, you're also reaching a new level, or at least you're just getting to a place where you're building momentum, keeping score, and trying to not break it. You are trying diligently to not break this streak. Get out a book, a planner, the notes app on your phone or your iPad, or get a physical whiteboard and keep track, keep score, and create this streak that will help you build momentum. And try your best essentially to gamify this process so that you do not end the streak. You know how we used to have the Snapchat streaks back in the day? You literally would maintain that streak like your life depended on it. That is a sort of energy that we kind of want to have with this as well. This next tip is about raising the stakes. Stakes are really important. And I think what I've identified is that there are 2 ways to kind of look at this. You can either raise the stakes manually, so you can engineer the stakes, or you can realize the existing stakes. Introducing the region beta paradox. It's this psychological phenomenon that basically says that when things are not incredibly awful, we will stay in that particular situation a lot longer because it's just not awful. It might be bad, but it's not incredibly awful. There's no urgency for us essentially to leave. If it's not too bad, then we just might choose to ignore it. It's livable, and maybe we've even become accustomed to living with this thing. So let's take an example of someone that works a particular job and doesn't necessarily like the work that they're doing or really like their colleagues or their manager, but it's not awful enough for them to leave that job. Something really crazy, something extremely awful would have to happen in order for them to move. Maybe they have a new manager, or their existing manager that they don't necessarily like gets 1,000 times worse. And that might be the thing that motivates them finally to leave. The region beta is the average place in the middle where we're kind of numb to how everything's just going, and there's nothing extreme enough for us to move. We're pleasantly numb, as someone called it online, to our conditions. So if we are in this position, we have to do one of 2 things. The first one is raising the stakes, and the second one is actually just realizing the stakes that already exist. What we're trying to do here is make ourselves feel less comfortable, essentially. So we're trying to get out of this region beta area. So in terms of the first option, raising the stakes, so manually engineering the stakes to be super high, there are several ways that you can do this. I saw someone online say that if they don't commit to this goal, if they don't reach this particular thing, then they have to donate lots and lots of money. They've put like a figure to an organization that they absolutely hate. So they raised the stakes in that way manually. They engineered it because they didn't have any current stakes, existing stakes that were that high. So I mean, there are several things you can do. You can say that if you don't complete this particular thing, then you can't do the thing that you really wanted to do and that you've been waiting or saving for. There are various things you can do, but I felt like his method was quite effective of basically putting money, which we all hate losing, to be donated to an organization that he's not particularly that fond of. But essentially, our brains, the way in which we're wired, we will do so much more to avoid a certain thing than we would do to attain a particular thing. So working in this way, in this kind of framework, we are actively deciding to commit to a particular goal to avoid the pain of potentially having to lose money or potentially having to, I guess, not do the thing that we wanted and we'd been waiting to do for a long time. So the second way that we discussed is realizing the stakes. So you might actually find that the stakes are already quite high in your life. Perhaps, I don't want to go into the nitty gritty, but you might find that there are some really awful things that might happen if you don't do this particular thing, or are already happening because you're not doing this particular thing. So if you are trying to lose weight, for example, or trying to hit the gym, you might find that the stakes are already quite high. Maybe you are severely overweight, you've gone to the doctors and you've been told that you've got high cholesterol and all of those things. You might already have a health condition and it might be getting worse, or the inaction, you not doing something, is expediting the really negative effects. So these are the kinds of ways that we can realize that the stakes are actually already quite high. So it's best for us to act and do something. We might not need to necessarily engineer or manually create high stakes because the stakes are already quite high. I think this is one of the most important points, and it's essentially setting a date with yourself and not breaking it. I think one of the most important things throughout this whole video that I'm also starting to re-understand and realize is that the trust that you build with yourself is so important. The more that we say we're going to do something, achieve something, try something, build something, start something, and we don't do it, the more we are essentially eroding that self-trust, that trust we have with ourselves. The less trust we have in ourselves, the less likely we are in the future to go and do something again that we said we'd do. What's the point? I said it before and I didn't do it, so I'll probably not do it again. So we're gonna set a date with ourselves. We're gonna make it intentional, clear, and hard to not do. For example, saying I want to go to the gym is aspirational. It sounds nice, it sounds kind of cute. You might motivate yourself with some Pinterest boards of girlies going to the gym. It sounds nice, but how about setting a date, a firm date with yourself? So instead of I'm gonna start going to the gym, it can be from Friday the 15th of Feb, I'm going to start going to the gym and I'm going to hit the gym at 6 in the morning. Your brain no longer treats it like a suggestion. It is now a formalized date and it's probably in the calendar. It might not be the gym, it might be something completely different. Something like, oh, I am going to start working on this really creative project that I've been passionate about for a long time, and I'm going to start that on Thursday at 6 p.m. It's definitive, it's finite, it's conclusive. You've said you're going to do it at a particular time, and you can also put it in your calendar as if you're literally setting a date. That self-confidence doesn't come from honestly watching motivational TikToks or even watching a video like this. That self-trust, that self-confidence comes from saying you're going to do a thing and doing that thing, showing up and proving to yourself that you can and that you did and that you will again. This is a sort of evidence that we're trying to build. And for the final one, I think this is quite a good way to end it. It's just to do it messy. Stop waiting to do things perfectly. Just do them. Do something messily, do it unprepared, do it not ready, do it not feeling confident, because all you're trying to do here is exercise that muscle of just doing. Exercising that muscle of consistency, getting comfortable with showing up frequently. Maybe that might be weekly for you on YouTube. Maybe that might be daily for you, I don't know, doing a particular project. It might be 3 times a week in the gym. You don't have to go there with your hair laid. My hair's like related, child. You don't have to go there with like the most perfect gym outfit or the gym gear that you see on TikTok. Just show up. Hair messy, clothes not matching. I'm not advocating for messiness, by the way, but I'm just saying the best thing you can do is just getting in the gym, getting in the room, sitting in front of the camera, uploading it. Don't worry about perfection, because at this stage, if you're feeling lazy and unmotivated, this is not the time to think about perfection. I think I've mentioned already in this video, I'm trying to upload a video on YouTube weekly. I'm only on like week 7, I think, right now. This is not the time for me to think about perfection. I might want to get 1% better every week or so, but the main aim is to just put things out there. It will get better, we'll get there, but for now, put things out. Iteration beats perfection every time, because perfection is something that we can't attain, firstly, but we might trick ourselves into thinking that we can. And oftentimes that manifests in us just sitting down and overthinking, over planning, and paralyzing ourselves into actually not doing anything anyway. In agile thinking, progress comes from learning, from trying things out, from testing things, from getting feedback, adjusting to things, not planning endlessly in your head. When I stopped posting to YouTube in like 2024 and 2025, it wasn't because I was lazy. It was that I made things complicated instead of making things easy, as we discussed in tip 1. I overcomplicated and I riddled myself with just a long system of overthinking, as opposed to just abiding by the 2-minute rule and just sitting down and recording, or sitting down and just scripting for 2 minutes, as we discussed in point 2. I posted sometimes and as and when, as opposed to creating momentum and posting weekly. I didn't build a winning streak. I didn't keep score. I just did it when I felt like it. And that relates to point 3 that we discussed, keeping momentum, maintaining a winning streak. I didn't realize the stakes, really. I was just too comfortable. I was living in this region beta period and really did experience the psychological phenomenon region beta paradox, like we discussed in point 4. I didn't really set a date with myself. I mean, I had such long evidence of saying I'd do something and then not doing it. So I didn't have that self-confidence and self-trust. I hadn't really built it that much. I mean, I did in certain areas, but not as much as I should have done with YouTube. And that goes to point 5 that we discussed. And lastly, and most importantly for me and my YouTube journey, is that I wanted perfection. I tried to create a system where it was, for the first week, it's all about scripting, and I script lots and lots of videos. The second week was about sitting in front of the camera and recording. And the final 2 weeks of the month was to edit everything and put it together and sort out the packaging. I wanted things to be so perfect. I looked for editors up and down everywhere. And I only have 500 subscribers. But I was just so focused on having everything just be perfect, as opposed to allowing myself to do things messy. Just as we just discussed in point 6. Try it, test it, get feedback, learn from it, iterate and then iterate and then iterate. Do it messy, just try and put it out there. And that's what I'm doing now. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what you've thought about this video, and if there are any tips that you're going to take forward or have tried and actually haven't worked for you. I'm always open to some challenge. If you did like this video, I am absolutely certain that you would love my other video that is all about improving focus, or at least I am presenting a case to you that you can focus. Even if you feel like you're the most distracted person, I've built and I've presented a case with lots of evidence to prove that you can focus. And I think the title was like, give me 10 minutes, let me convince you that you can focus. The video will be somewhere on the side. So yeah, click that if you're interested. But yeah, thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.